How's it going, everybody? Rye here today, and I am here with another NHL Ultimate Starting Guide for Franchise Mode. You guys absolutely loved this one last year. You guys were constantly talking in the comments about this last year, and it was awesome. So those of you that are new and just starting NHL 22, I'm here to help. If you got any questions or want to see any other videos like this, make sure to leave a comment. Also subscribe so you can see my videos and maybe get a peek at how I do things in franchise mode and maybe what would work and what doesn't work. Learn from my mistakes and also try and mimic whatever I do well. Anyway, guys, can we leave a like on the video too? It means a lot to me that you guys like the advice I'm giving you here as well. So let's go ahead and jump into it. And when you select franchise mode, this is the first screen you're going to be presented with. We've got Classic, 32 team expansion draft, and 33 team expansion draft with custom rosters. Now, the difference with 33 and 32 is if you pick 32, you're only going to be the 32nd team, but you get to redo the draft at the Seattle Kraken, who just came into the league this season. You get to redo their draft. With 33rd team expansion draft, you get to create your own team and be the 33rd team. So Seattle will be in the league, and then you'll add a 33rd team, and you'll be able to expansion draft just like Seattle did this past summer. Classic is where we will stay, though. That is your bread and butter. Seattle is in there. There's no redoing what Seattle did. Seattle's roster, as you know it, with Mark Giordano and the like, is in Classic. So if you guys are new, Seattle could be the new team. If you're new to NHL, Seattle, new team for you. Anyway, hopping into Classic, first thing you want to do is name your GM. I'm going to name myself Subscribe, as you guys should all do. So we're going to go ahead and take a look here through everything. If you guys want to substitute a team, first of all, get the Sabres out of here. You can push the X button on Xbox or the square button on PlayStation. You can then take a team from here. You can see these are the alumni associations. So say I wanted Hartford to come in, I could bring them in here. And then the all-time teams as well, you can bring them in. So you can use the legends. These are legend players. And then these are legends per team, right? So if I wanted the old-time Buffalo, I'll substitute in old-time Buffalo. And as you can see, Dale Hawerchuk, Phil Housley, and Pat LaFontaine are the three players now. So we'll go ahead and use the Buffalo Sabres alumni as our team. Scroll through here, see all the details about every team. If you have owner mode on, most of this matters. If you don't have owner mode on, which I'll touch on in a second, it's not really going to matter. So jumping through here, you can realign the divisions. This will be important if you want to, bring in a bunch of teams, create a ton of teams, and have your own unique division where you've created 8 teams and you just want to fight it out for supremacy in that division. Or you don't think Arizona should be in the Central. You think, Calgary should be in the Central. You can flip-flop them by just pushing the A button, going over to the team you want to swap with, and doing it there. I'm going to swap it back just for my own sanity's sake, but as you can see, you can do that over here in the Eastern Conference as well. So going through, we're going to leave the divisions the same because I like that. Owner mode enables you to set things like budgets, revenue. You can relocate your team if you wanted to. I personally, if I'm going to do that, I don't like owner mode as much. It's definitely fun. I've had a good time with it. We did our Draft to Glory with owner mode. That was in NHL 21. But you can get fired in this way. You can also turn that off over here. But with owner mode, you've got goals that you need to achieve. You can set promotions like bobblehead nights. So if you've ever seen screenshots of that, that's why those are in the game, that maybe you've never seen those before. You can adjust your prices for tickets. You can upgrade your stadium. You can upgrade your parking lot. Upgrade your concessions. Then now you can all of a sudden start charging for orange juice instead of just water. So things like that. I like to keep that off because it kind of complicates things. I'll leave it on for now so we can go into some of the details later. Fantasy draft. This allows you to do a fantasy draft exactly what it says. And when you turn this on, then you'll be able to adjust the order in a minute. We'll leave that off because I want to give you guys the base experience. I personally keep NHL salary cap on. It's more fun. I don't like being able to just give everybody $20 million every year and then just keeping the whole team together. Now, if you want that, this is what you would do. You just leave the salary cap off, but just be aware that the cap is off for every team. So unless a player is unhappy, they're probably not going to hit free agency. So that's why I like to leave it on. We touched on GM firing with owner mode. CPU trades, I always leave this on. Unless I'm doing an experiment, in my goalies experiment, I did turn off CPU trades because I don't want the computer trading. but this kind of allows you to get an authentic experience and allow the computer to trade with each other. Player morale, this one is interesting. It looks like you can turn off chemistry with turning this off, but you actually cannot. Your player's morale will go up or down based on how the team performs, based on their ice time. So if you really just want to stack a super team, turning off player morale makes sense. But if you want to have, a 90 overall and not be happy he's on the third line, this is the place for you. And sometimes that can work to your benefit, as players might request a trade away from their team and their trade value goes way down. Their overall drops to like a 76, even though they're an 85 overall winger, because they've been playing on the third line, they're unhappy and want to move out. Fog of War is one I don't like as much, just because I like to know things about the NHL and AHL players immediately. I like to click on them, see their stats. It makes it a better experience for you guys, I think, when I play franchise modes. You'll have to keep on top of your scouting more so when you have Fog of War on. If you have Fog of War off, you probably don't have to scout as much in the NHL. This does not mean that you don't have to scout the NHL, because you still won't know if they'll fit your team chemistry-wise. So you may be thinking you can just turn this off and just hire all junior scouts, but the problem with that is you won't be able to see chemistry fits, and that's actually a big, important part of the game, giving you those overall boosts or decreases. I turn off head coach edits lines. I don't like the CPU touching the lines. I usually go through and set everything the way I like it, so don't touch it, okay? So that's why I turn that off. Auto owner mode will allow you to have the aspects of owner mode you may like GM firing and the goals you have to hit every year, but you won't have to do the budgets. Auto accept relocation is relocating your favorite team, but personally, like I said, create a team, put all the players from the team you want to replace on it, and then substitute them in the substitute menu. Auto sign free agents, this is kind of a fun part of the game, is managing your roster, so I wouldn't turn that on. You can. This will mean that you can't go out and sign free agents, but the computer will do it for you, as if the computer would, but again, we're probably smarter than the computer's logic there. Auto staff management allows the CPU to hire and fire coaches and scouts automatically. That sounds great, but personally, it's a minor annoyance every offseason to have to re-sign everybody, but I like to be able to swap in and out of my coaches based on the chem fit of the rest of my team. So moving on, there's some more advanced settings in here. You guys can see this here. Quick settings is where we will go next. So you can see this is where you would turn off injuries if you wanted to. My rules are set to custom. It's just simply because of a preset that I've changed a couple things. The period length you can change in here as well. This all can be changed after the fact. This all can be changed after we start the franchise mode, except for fantasy draft. Obviously, if you start the franchise mode, you can't then fantasy draft later on. But authentic cap penalties, this just means buyout penalties and retain salaries. So when a player gets traded, you can offer to retain salary. This would be authentic, so anything that happened in real life, if somebody retained it or bought them out. So like Minnesota is going to have to deal with this. If you want to do a wild one, but you want to have all the cap space from Parise and Suter's buyout, maybe turn this off. Obviously, we talked about auto sign free agents. Auto save is a good thing. Leave that on. Franchise mode length, you can't go more than 25 years, and it goes in increments of 5. Allow the CPU to make trades. This is where the difficulty is for the game. I don't know why it's so far down. Draft pick ownership is authentic, which means if somebody traded a first this offseason for a player, that first is on the other team. If you turn it to classic, every team has 1 through 7 to start. So it's a clean slate for you. The salary cap on. Trade difficulty, I usually like to set it to medium. If you really are a veteran and want to challenge yourself, put it on hard. If you don't really know what you're doing, maybe put it on easy until you kind of learn. I like medium because I think the trade value is, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? You get to see the bar, and if the bars are close, then that's probably a fair trade. Now, sometimes they may not like it because they may not want to give up the player, but that's a topic I can touch on in another video. Waivers, you can turn those on or off here. This means that certain players don't have to clear waivers, and that means if you want to send them down to the AHL, which is your minor league affiliate, they can just go straight there. If they have to pass through waivers, another team has the opportunity to say, hey, actually, wait, I like that guy, so I want him. So I turn this off, usually just simplicity's sake, and solves a lot of the headaches too. But if you want an authentic experience, keep this on. Auto accept relocation, we talked about that. Fog of War, we talked about that. And then, I can flip this off. But you can see here, if I wanted to just show individual attributes, but hide the overall, like I could guess what I think the overall is of the player, or if I wanted to scout for the type or didn't see the potential, that could be, a way to manually edit Fog of War and make it a little bit nicer. Same thing with individual attributes, overall, player role, player type, potential. You can turn those all on or off individually, which I think is fantastic. Auto scouting, I like to leave it on both. I just like my scouts to do their thing. I like to be able to get in, get out, and have a seamless experience playing hockey rather than being in the front office. But it is franchise mode, so you got to control the franchise. Auto staff management is the same thing we saw earlier. So we'll go ahead now, jump into the advanced settings, touch a little bit about those. Head coach edits lines, we turn those off. And if you have injuries turned on, this slider is important. You can see when they're either fully healed or when you can just play them. Or you can get a notification both times. When he's playable, maybe certain players you want to rush back as soon as they're playable because they're not fully healed. So they'll be at a higher injury risk in a slight decrease to their attributes. Whereas when they're fully healed, they're obviously fully healthy. Base stats all around. If you turn it on both, they'll let you know when he can come back. Okay, maybe I want McDavid back, but maybe I don't really care about this fourth line center. Maybe he can just come back when he's fully healed because I'm giving a rookie a shot, right? Minor league coach edits lines. If you don't really want to touch your lines in the minors, leave this on yes or no. I don't know exactly what minimal does. I've never seen it really in effect, so I usually turn it on yes, go ahead and do whatever you want, or no, don't touch it. Auto-rotate goalies is important. This will help you get realistic stats. First of all, goalies won't be playing 82 games, and you don't have to think about it. You won't forget to put in your backup goalie for 5 games, and then you stop the play session, you come back tomorrow, and you keep playing, you're like, shoot, I was supposed to put in my backup goalie. Well, then you do, and then you forget to leave, and you leave him in for 3 games straight because you just keep forgetting. You just want to keep playing. So leaving auto-rotate on will automatically do that for you and balance it nicely. Sim engine scoring here, this is when you're simulating, not when you're playing, but other teams simulating too. If you put up a ton of points and you want them to keep up with you because you play all 82 games, put it on high. This will give you a ton of goals and points, and they're gonna get a bunch of 100 points. Same thing kind of goes for low. If you don't want to see a ton of points or you're trying to replicate an era, I know we've got roster sharing coming later in the year, so if we've got 90s rosters or something like that, you guys can go ahead and do that. High maybe for the mid 2000s. Medium, I like to leave these on medium because it's tuned to the modern day NHL. So unless you want to see crazy point totals, I'd just leave it on medium. Or if you don't want to see many guys getting point per game, put it on low. Depends on if you want to see like a different era. That's more so what I would say that is. The draft class quality will tell you how strong a draft class is. This is telling you how deep the draft class is. Do they have a lot of good players? Yes, you could see a lot of strong draft classes, or no, you want to see only a strong draft class every once in a while. I recommend staying on medium or high. I don't really see low. I'd like to see more quality teams because if a team is drafting players and the AI is trying to do stuff, I'd rather see good teams than see the AI have to hit a home run every once in a while. Generated prospect quality. Setting this will determine how good the top players in the draft are. The top 3, 5, 10, right in that range. Putting it high means more top-end prospects are generated. Low means you're maybe only going to get 1 medium elite, 2 medium elite. You're not going to get a lot of good players at the top end of drafts, right? If you put it on high, you're probably going to get 3 players every year that are ready to step in the NHL and maybe some ridiculous franchise potentials. Sim engine shot frequency will mean high or low. This does not have an effect on how often you score, but more so just how often they shoot. So you have to have good players to score more, but they will take more shots. So if you don't like the way you're seeing, you're like, man, not enough players on my team are getting 200 shots. Well, maybe flick this up to high. These can be changed after the mode is started too, so you can play around with it, whatever's to your liking. Playoff series length, if you are replicating a different era or just couldn't be bothered to play a best of 7, you can do a single elimination tournament if you want to be like the National Football League, or maybe a best of 3 or a best of 5 if you want to be somewhat like baseball. Best of 7 is your standard NHL series length. Anyway, playoff tiebreaker is continuous OT, but if you really can't be bothered to do that, maybe just go straight to a shootout. Maybe go 5 minutes of 3-on-3 and then a shootout like the regular season. Maybe you missed the old days where it was a 4-on-4 and then a shootout. So you can change this here. Overtime losses can be 0 or 1 point. If you think the NHL shouldn't even bother rewarding points for an overtime loss, you can change it there. I'd rather change the amount of points you got. Like, you know, in my opinion, should have 3 points for a win, 2 points for an overtime win, and 1 point for an overtime loss. That's how we should do it, but they don't ask me about it. So, season tiebreaker, you can end it in a tie if you wanted to. No overtime. No overtime ends it in a tie. The rest are single OT. This would end in a tie after the OT. This same thing here, 5 minutes, then a 4-on-4 shootout, 3-on-3, and then a shootout is what we currently have. So authentic would be authentic to what's happening right now. These are just pop-ups. I like to leave the gameplay version on latest. They will tune some things, but if you don't like whatever they changed, you can pop this back to version 1.0, which is the only one out right now. But if they change something you don't like, you can always hop back to the original. Waiver notifications are fine. Morale meetings. These are all just things that'll let you know what's going on in your franchise mode. Retired jerseys, this will prevent you from taking certain numbers. League-wide, you're not going to see a player take 99. If you turn this off, for your team only, you can assign a player to a 99 or another retired number. If you do off in general, every team can assign every number to every player. And you've got the blockbuster trade alert here, which I like to have on because you keep up with what's going on here. We'll go ahead and jump into our career. They'll prompt you to keep the salary cap on or turn it off. It will say that some teams are not compliant or could be not compliant, but I like to keep that on because usually there's not a problem with it. Anyway, you can see there's our throwback team. Our owner has some notifications for us. You can see in here is where you would upgrade and maintain everything. This is the owner menu. You can check your goals. You can say, hey, maybe we want to move, set the ticket prices and pop prices and pizza prices. And you can set your promotions here, check your budgets and whatnot. In here, we've got our options to do more management of the roster itself. You can edit your lines in here or go through the quick menu right here, right next to Advanced Day. I like to go here because sometimes I hit Advanced Day and sim over the very important game I wanted to edit the lines for. I move too quickly. The game doesn't keep up with me sometimes. Anyway, in here you can do your proposed trade. Finding a trade will actually help you find a trade for a player you have or a player another team might have. You can also player search, which is great, but if you guys want me to go into more detail about these nice features that I use all the time and how I've kind of mastered roster management and finding players that fit my team, you guys let me know. To change coaches, I know sometimes people don't know where to find that. It's in here in coaching staff. Just pop in here. I really don't like Nesbitt. Push X to fire the coach, and then, yeah, it'll cost us this. And in owner mode, this matters. In owner mode, the money and the salary matters. And if owner mode's off, it doesn't really matter how much you're paying your coaches just because there's no budget. Anyway, guys, that is the ultimate franchise starting guide for NHL 22. Not a ton of new things, not a ton of new features to see. I can break down some chemistry. I can go into roster management tips. I can go into general franchise mode tips, but you guys let me know what you want to see. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you want to see some more, and I will see you guys in the next one.